It pays to be prepared. By now, you should have found a job that you want to apply to, prepared your CV, prepared your portfolio, applied, and secured an interview. Congratulations! You've come a long way since the start of this series, but we're not at the finish line yet. Preparing for a UX design interview begins with thinking about some of the questions you could be asked and how you might then answer them. In this video, I'm going to talk about the types of questions to prepare for in your interview and tips on how to answer them. Interview questions can fall into different types of categories such as technical, general, or value-based. Technical questions are asked to gauge your knowledge and level of expertise. General or experience questions are about you, your work, and your professional experience. Value-based questions help determine if you will be a good match at the company and that both yours and the company values are in line with each other. Now, the first question you may be asked in an interview is, tell us about yourself. This question is a great opener and gives you the opportunity to talk about how you got into UX design and why you're a good fit for this specific role. But remember, keep it brief. Focus on what makes you a unique candidate. Do you have any skills to bring to the table that make you stand out? Things like coding, researching, great workshopping skills, things like that. You can touch on your previous role and responsibilities and how they might apply to the current position. Another question could be, walk me through a project in your portfolio, or tell us about a project that you're proud of. I don't think I've been to an interview where they haven't asked this question. So be prepared to walk an interviewer through a project that you're proud of and can talk them through the whole design process from start to finish. Make it clear the problem that you're trying to solve and the process that revealed the solution. Use this as an opportunity to demonstrate key skills such as research and analysis or conducting workshops. Again, keep it brief so you open the floor for opportunities to have questions. Another question could be, tell us about a challenge you faced on a project and how you handled it. Here, you are looking to give answers or an example of a project that perhaps didn't go so well. Talk about the lessons learned and how you would implement improvements going forward. It could also be an opportunity to talk about how you worked with difficult stakeholders who may not have valued UX design. Talk about how you worked with them to educate them through the analytics and data to bring them on side. Another question could be, have you experienced working in a lean or agile environment? If yes, provide a brief explanation of when and how you worked in that environment. If no, perhaps explain your understanding of the agile process and explain why you do not have experience. Perhaps your current company works in a waterfall method, but demonstrate that you have an understanding and interest all the same. Maybe this is a driving factor for why you're applying to this role. What is your UX design process? This question ties in nicely to answer, walk me through a project in your portfolio, and could be answered in the same breath. If you haven't done so already, talk about your process. How do you approach problems? What tools do you typically use? Who do you work with in the design process? Could it be researchers, developers, project managers? Be mindful that this question can get long fast. So think about it in a couple of different stages and keep the answer concise while providing a solid outline. You'll soon see how questions become interlinked, as another question they could ask is, what UX tools do you use? This one is fairly simple, so talk about the design tools that you used on a day-to-day basis and any particular favorites that you may have. Given that a lot of people are working remotely, touch on working with some tools that are great for remote collaboration, as that would go down nicely. Another question is, how do you react to negative feedback? Here the interviewer is looking at how you take negative feedback on as creative or constructive criticism, which is a very important part of being a designer. Never take criticism personally and always try to detach yourself from the designs. In the feedback given, always seek out actionable steps that you can use to improve the design. A more topic-specific question could be, how do you ensure designs are accessible? The interviewer here is looking to gauge your understanding of accessibility best practices. You can demonstrate this by talking about how you would consider accessibility as part of your design process from the start of a project. So it's not an afterthought, but something that is to be addressed from the very beginning. Talk about any tools that you would use and how you would enhance the designs to meet accessibility requirements. This could be done by things like checking the color contrast, the layout, and so on. Some more challenging questions could be things like, tell us about a UX project that failed. What could you learn from this? Or, what made you want to leave your current role? With the first question, talk about what you learned from the failed project. Identify why it failed and what you would do differently moving forward. With the second question, what makes you want to leave your current job? Avoid saying anything negative about your current company or co-workers. It's best to talk about the new challenges and opportunities this role that you're applying for would bring. The opposite question to what makes you want to leave your current job would be, why are you interested in this company? Think about why you responded to the job listing originally. Was it the company culture, the opportunity for growth, or leadership to work in a different way? Express your motivations for joining clearly, and if there is something that the company does well, tell them. They will appreciate the positive feedback. Questions to ask the company. Now, don't forget, an interview works both ways. Not only are the company seeing if you would be a good match for the role, but you are also figuring out if the company is a good match for you too. Keeping this in mind will help you shake off any pre-interview nerves. At the end of the interview, an interviewer should ask, do you have any questions for us? Or something along those lines. And be sure to include some questions towards the end of the interview to ask the panel that will help you know more about the company. If you want to know more about company culture, you could ask how the different teams work together collaboratively. And if you want to know who is responsible for conducting user research, you could ask questions like, how involved would you be in the research stage of the process? And finally, remember to be honest, keeping your answers simple and always backing them up with real examples. Where you can, relate your answers to the company where you are interviewing. If you have any questions about UX interviews or would like to share some of the questions you've been asked, drop them in the comments below. I hope all your preparations for interviews are going so well. Tune into my next video for remote interview tips, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.